everybody. Welcome to the world's greatest podcast with an audience of exactly 0. This is Taped Crusaders. We are here to review your favorite superhero movies. I'm your co-host, Michael, and as always, I'm joined by
Joshua Mervell. And yeah, today we're going to be taking a look at the TV movie, made-for-TV movie, Trial of the Incredible Hulk.
Yes, and we're also joined by the co-owner of Meteor, Champ Ian.
Hi, how's everyone doing tonight?
Awesome.
Yeah, good.
We just saw a really good movie that we're not going to talk about called Road Warrior. Instead, we're going to talk about the Trial of the Incredible Hulk.
Which I don't remember anymore because I just watched Road Warrior.
I was just saying that. Like, all I can think about is Mad Max now. But
let's try to muster some enthusiasm for this sucker, okay? So I just got to point out, just like the last Hulk movie we watched, this is pre-Batman, which is kind of like saying before Christ, right? Like, this movie came out in the Dark Age. Well, anyway, it's not I lost my analogy, but you get my point. This came out at a time like before civilization was established. It's such a weird time before.
Well, not that much longer. Isn't it also
a few
89?
months? A few months. Yeah. Anyway,
I think it's also 89.
They must have been so embarrassed.
Yeah.
People that made this walking into the theater to see Batman.
But so this was a TV movie sequel to the Incredible Hulk TV show.
Right.
A sequel to the film that we
the film that's also a sequel
before?
to the TV
yes,
show.
Yes, technically you're right. Yes,
okay.
It's the second of 3 TV movies made that were sequels to the Incredible Hulk TV show. So
following along?
Yeah, so both of these, the first one was a backdoor pilot for the Thor, and this was a backdoor pilot for Daredevil.
Yeah.
So the one thing I want to say about this movie before we jump into it, first I want to ask Champ Ian,
yes,
have you ever seen a Daredevil movie?
I was unfamiliar with the concept of Daredevil.
Wow. So you've never seen the Ben Affleck Daredevil
never.
The TV? Wow. Okay.
No.
So this
not familiar with the character, even
not
at
familiar
all?
with the character.
Interesting.
Which made certain things in this film a little jarring for me.
Okay.
Because they didn't really make a lot of sense at first.
This is probably not the best representation of Daredevil, but
not the worst.
Not the worst, but here's the thing, is that in the comic books, Daredevil wears this is key, red skin-tight costume with a DD on his chest, okay?
And horns.
And little tiny horns, okay?
Yeah.
And his name's Daredevil.
That seems a little silly to me.
Well, but just wait. In this TV movie, he wears skin-tight black leotards.
No horns.
No horns, no DD. But in this movie, he very clearly has something covering his eyes, which completely defies the purpose of a secret identity. No one's supposed to know Daredevil's blind. Mm-hmm. So in this movie, by having his eyes covered by like a black mask, everyone who sees him goes, oh, well, obviously he's blind because there's no eye holes in that mask. Did you not notice that?
I guess, but I just assumed that it was like a ski mask thing. Like if you've got fabric close enough to your face, you can still see through it.
Okay,
right?
maybe, but I took it as the designers of the costume were not thinking. And
they took it from the comics.
No,
because that is a comics.
Oh, you think so? How about this came out before?
Really?
This introduced the black costume that was then used by Frank Miller. So Frank Miller did a famous Daredevil run in the late 70s, early 80s. Then he came back and did Born Again. Then he came back after this movie and he did Daredevil. Daredevil Man Without Fear with John Romita Jr., which is a great series. But that's where they introduced this costume into the comic, and then it was used again in the Netflix TV show. Right. So if you watch the Netflix TV show, the first season, the entire season, he's in a version of this costume. Yeah. Okay? And it looks okay. But then once he gets the red costume, it looks like Daredevil. Yeah. I think so. Yeah. But Ian...
You're speaking gibberish to me.
Yeah. It's all Greek to Ian.
Names that I have no idea what they are, and versions of a character that I'm not familiar with whatsoever. Gotcha. I only know this Daredevil.
This version,
right? Yeah.
Okay.
Which
he's not even in this little.
No, I mean he should be because he's in this film far more than the Incredible Hulk is.
Yeah, that's true.
And you know what? We'll get to that. But okay, let's just talk about this movie. So before we started recording, Ian admitted that he doesn't remember anything about it.
Well, I remember certain things about it.
Okay, so would you like to summarize this film for our 700 million viewers out there who are watching right now?
No pressure.
Well, all right. We meet Bruce Banner. He is...
You mean David
Banner? Where am I getting Bruce from?
that's his
his
name
comic
in the
book name is
comics.
Bruce, but
They
since
changed
Bruce sounds
it.
too gay,
Hey.
they changed it to David Banner.
No,
David
that's the creators. That's the creators' words.
Oh.
Yeah, that's not on my thing. That's
all right.
But like one of the producers or writers or something.
For a second, do I have to get off this podcast now? Do I have to walk over here?
No.
And this is
Okay.
our last episode of Tape Crusaders, everybody.
No. Okay. To be fair, that was a urban myth, like an Hollywood urban myth for 20 years, and Kevin, what's his name?
Smith?
No, Johnson.
Johnson.
Kenneth Johnson, the creator, he actually dispelled the rumor.
Oh, okay.
And he said it's not true. The reason I changed it is because I don't like comic book alliterations like Peter, Parker, Clark, Kent.
Oh.
So I'm gonna call the character, instead of Bruce Banner, I'm gonna call him David Banner, but I'm gonna cast Bill Bixby to play him. Okay,
Can't get away from him.
Interesting.
Cannot get
Exactly.
away from the alliterations. All right, so David Banner.
Yes.
We meet David Banner. He's basically living the life of a drifter. Somebody pushes him into a river, and he tries not to fight him.
Right. I love that.
This sort of gives us the impression that he's working on not turning into the Hulk, right? Because he doesn't destroy this man. He goes to speak to the woman who he's working for, and she says, "Hey, where are you going? You can make a life for yourself here." Well, no, I'm going to go to the city.
Yes.
The city.
The unnamed city.
For some reason. So he goes to the city. Then we stop following him for a while, and we start following this blind lawyer, and they make some offhand comments about some villainous developer who has built a giant building right in the middle of their view, so they don't get to see the spectacular views of
sunrise and
sunrises
sunset.
in the city. This unnamed city. There is a jewel heist.
Yes.
And oh
Then-
my goodness.
so-
Mike, you take over.
I'll just take over and you can jump in. But
Yeah.
it's a little bit confusing because the jewel heist could have been cut from the movie, but the two guys who have the jewel heist then go onto the subway.
Yeah. And there's a woman on the subway.
And again, the jewel heist was unnecessary. It's just the point that they're these criminals.
Well, it sort of ties
It
in
ties
with
into the Kingpin.
the
Okay,
Kingpin.
true.
And,
Yeah.
and he uses those diamonds to like pay off the other mob
Okay,
bosses,
fine.
right?
So it was
Set up,
necessary.
pay off.
Super important,
Yeah.
but
So
it gives some limited flavor to the limited flavor
Right.
of the
So
palette
once these
of this
bad
film.
guys get onto the subway, they technically could just get away with the jewels.
They could have just been quiet.
Been
and-
quiet, but then what happens is they see this attractive woman on the subway, and the one guy starts kind of like mouthing off and hitting on her, and then we're kind of like also seeing that David Banner is also on the subway, and David Banner is trying to like stay out of trouble. He doesn't want to get involved because he knows what can happen, right? Because he's the Hulk. And then as the guy is antagonizing the woman more and more, eventually I think he throw David Banner, or he pushes
Yeah,
him.
he throws him to the back of the
Yeah,
train.
and then of course he turns into the Hulk. The Hulk beats up these guys. The Hulk smashes through the train and gets away. The police track down where the Hulk is going, but by the time they find him, he's turned back into David Banner. They arrest him, and this is the first little twist is that the woman actually accuses David Banner of trying to rape her, and says that the two men are the two bad
trying
guys
to help her.
tried to help her. And you're like, well, what's going on? Well, this is where we kind of find out that the kingpin of crime
He's pulling the strings from behind the scenes
of everybody, of like cops, criminals,
he's threatened her. He's threatened her
intimidated
family.
this
and-
witness. Yeah, and I don't know if you want to take over from there, but
Well, no, I'm just sort of like, you're reminding me of these things.
okay,
right?
okay, fine.
As soon as you stop talking, I have no idea where this movie's going.
so then what happens is then we kind of I don't remember if did David Banner get the apartment before that? I think so, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So David Banner, before that, as he's a drifter, he'd come into town, rented an apartment, left, had this little thing. Now he's in jail.
And then it turns out that Matt Murdock is going to be his lawyer.
Yes.
So that's when those two meet. Yeah.
So we're introduced to Matt Murdock. Again, different from the comics. In the comic books, it's Matt Murdock with his partner Foggy Nelson and their secretary Karen Page. I think Karen Page is a secretary in the old comics. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think in the comics maybe, but I think now she's also
an equal
a lawyer. Yeah.
So in this movie, they just changed. They have a different character.
Not Foggy and
not
Karen.
Foggy Nelson, not Karen Page. Why? Who knows? And
Too
then,
gay.
Yeah, too gay probably. And then so then Matt Murdock decides to become David Banner's lawyer. But David Banner does not want to give any information. He doesn't want to help. He just wants to be left alone. And in the meantime, like a chief of police or some kind of cop ends up meeting him in secret in the jail, and basically
he's the only good cop left in the city because everyone else is.
He's the only good cop, and he basically says there's a whole thing going on that you could help if you just tell the truth and blah blah blah, and he basically asks him to go on trial. And he's like, I can't go on trial. And so then it cuts to this scene
trial
of David Banner on trial, and he's being,
accosted by the other lawyer.
Just answer the question. Just answer the question. Answer the question.
And of course,
answer the question.
He turns into the Hulk in the courtroom and, smashes through the witness stand and scares all of the jurors.
He flips the jury stand over like it's a car.
And then in that exact scene, we get Stan Lee's first ever cameo.
Yeah, I assume it was.
I don't know if you noticed that.
No,
Ian.
I didn't know
that was Stan Lee.
Was he one of the jurors?
Yeah, one of the jurors. Yep.
Awesome.
That goes on for about 20 minutes.
You know what's funny too? He's always talked about how he loves having like dialogue and being center of attention, and he always like tries to push his cameos as far as he can. And it looked like he was going to say something, and then they like cut him off. Like he like opens his mouth like, and then they like cut. Yeah, it's so funny.
You got to start somewhere, I guess, right? But so then, of course, David Banner wakes up, and this is not actually happening. Meanwhile, another cool subplot is that the Kingpin is trying to get David Banner killed in jail because he's a witness that they're worried he might expose them. And so, like, there's actually a pretty cool scene where the cellmate tries to stab him with a crowbar that's been shaved down into a point. And it's a pretty cool scene, and it's actually right before the scene where the chief of police talks to him. So anyway, I think at some point he decides to help.
No, I think
or tell the truth. I don't remember.
Something happens where he gets overwhelmed and turns into the Hulk.
Yes.
In real life.
Right.
And breaks out of the prison, and he runs away.
Okay, I forgot about that part.
And then,
although nothing really seemed to set him off there, he just kind of
maybe it was the bad dream. I thought.
Well, maybe
because it was like we see the courtroom. He turns into the Hulk, and then he wakes up and it's a dream, and he's like, "Oh God, oh no!"
Right.
And then he turns into the Hulk in real life because he's so overwhelmed.
And the thing is
by the dream,
he does get away, but then they don't show him actually breaking into the prison. They just show all the steel bars bent out, which is kind of cool.
And a Hulk-shaped hole in the wall.
Hulk-shaped hole, it's like the
Kool-Aid Man.
In my heart.
Yeah.
But so he gets away, and then he eventually decides to. I think he gets back to his apartment, and then Daredevil decides to confront him. Right?
And then he gives away his identity.
In the first 30 seconds of talking to him, he gives away his identity.
Also, somewhere in between, we see that the Kingpin is trying to lure out Daredevil.
Yes.
He goes to talk to the woman while she's in the hospital bed. And then after he like saves her once and leaves, Kingpin's like, take that woman, bring her over to me, and we're gonna lure Daredevil.
That's right. So now the woman is now in the Kingpin's like building, like tied up in a bed, and the Kingpin's a ranger who's not called a ranger. He's called something else.
I don't even know if they gave him a name.
I can't remember
what his name is.
But he's like his second in command, and he's kind of like
a ranger,
like falling for the woman. But
that's an actual comic book character.
Is it really?
Be a ranger.
Yeah.
Wow.
He works for the Kingpin, and
he
if you can believe it or not, but he arranges things for the Kingpin.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Riveting.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
So basically the subplot is that this guy's kind of falling for the girl. He's sympathetic to the girl, blah, blah, blah. So now they're trying to draw Daredevil out, and Daredevil reveals his identity to David Banner. And then we get a scene where they lure Daredevil into like a warehouse.
It's an old movie set.
That's right. It's
web.
The web. That was so silly, but whatever. Okay, so they bring him in, and then they have all these bad guys around him, and then they kind of start assaulting him. Like first,
they're like flashing lights,
and that doesn't do anything because he's blind. Then they jack up the sound, and the sound is overwhelming for his senses, and so
Right.
he ends up getting overwhelmed, and the bad guys are able to beat the crap out of him. Okay, so then there's a little section of the movie where Daredevil's lost all faith in himself because he's like, oh, look how easily they defeated me. They know exactly what my weakness is. It's sound because of my hyper senses.
We're leaving out. Sorry to interrupt, but we're
sorry.
leaving out the part where the Hulk actually saves him. There.
Yes, that's right.
Oh,
Bruce Banner
because
is trying to smash into the door. Yeah,
There's a direct phone line to Daredevil's apartment that this one last good cop in the city, he doesn't know who he is, but he contacts him whenever something's up. He tipped him off that this woman was at the web.
Yes.
But then later tips him off when he realizes that it's likely a trap, that this information is bad, don't go there. David Banner is at his apartment and overhears this call.
And he tries to pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Wait. But
he's already left. And then he goes to try and find him.
Right, that's right.
He turns into the Hulk when he sees him being attacked.
Through the window of the little door.
Yeah,
then he punches the glass.
Yeah.
So, and that's actually a throwback to the pilot episode that you still haven't seen that I will lend to you. It's awesome. Smashes through the glass, beats up the bad guys, rescues Daredevil. Then they have the sequence where Daredevil's lost all faith in himself, blah, blah, blah. And then eventually David Banner convinces Matt Murdock, oh, no, you've got to become Daredevil again. We got to rescue the girl. We got to defeat the Kingpin, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. And then this is where it gets silly.
This is...
Because now it's like, okay, you have a guy who's like an actual superhero, Daredevil, who has a little bit of power. But then you have David Banner. What is he going to do? In this iteration, he can't just turn to the Hulk, right? So it's like, okay, well, Daredevil is going to use his, what is that called? That line?
Zip line.
To zip line into the building. Okay, David, what are you going to do? Well, you just go to the front door. Oh, okay. So it's not
at this point, does Daredevil know that David Banner is the Hulk? Or is he just some guy at this point?
Yeah, I think he does.
I think when they're talking to
he
each other and
But this is where the writing goes haywire, because they could have had a nice opportunity for comedy or suspense. This is where it starts to get bad. And David Banner could have gone in and tried to sneak past the guards or trick them or wear a disguise. But no, it's just a wide shot of him walking in, going to the elevator. So it's this is the Kingpin's headquarters. It's
really good security.
Right.
Random. Oh, okay.
So Daredevil goes into the top and he kind of punches his way down through a few guys. David Banner makes his way up some weird stairway. There's no locks anywhere. Mm-hmm. And then I think the Kingpin keeps wondering, why is this girl still alive? Why haven't you killed her? So then we'll just call him the Arranger. So then the Arranger goes in to it's almost like you as a viewer. I actually like this scene. You're wondering, is he going to kill her? Is he not going to kill her? Mm-hmm. And he decides, no, that's it. I'm going to try and rescue her. But then the bad guy from the beginning who tried to rape her comes in and intervenes and tries to. Doesn't he punch out the Arranger?
Yeah, I think so.
Right?
Or he's I think he holds a gun to him and he's like, all right, now snuff her out.
Smother her with a pillow now.
Over her, right? And then he takes the pillow and puts it over the guy. And then I don't remember how he defeats the bad guy, but somehow he does. And then David Banner
just kind of shows up in their meeting.
Okay,
like Daredevil, right? You're talking about
how
he defeats Kingpin.
No. I'm talking about how do they get away from the bad guy?
I think they just punch him or something.
They punch him.
Yeah.
David Banner helps them. They get out. Yeah. And then somehow and this is the thing I didn't realize. So I read a review. I kept waiting for the Hulk. The Hulk never shows up. The Hulk does not show up. It's just Daredevil fighting Kingpin.
Yeah.
And then Kingpin gets away.
In his
and wait. And then you think, oh, well, the Ranger's obviously going to kill. The Ranger's like, oh, don't worry, he'll forgive me. The Ranger and Kingpin disappear behind a wall, and then they fly away in something out of Road Warrior.
It's like the Enterprise upside down.
Yeah,
they just fly away.
It's like the slowest hovercraft.
Yeah, I know. It's embarrassing. But it could have just been a helicopter, and it would have looked normal.
Yeah,
but instead
or
it's
a plane or something.
It's they blue screen this stupid fictional vehicle, and then they make it. They don't even know how to make it proper perspective. They just shrink the image so it gets smaller and it zips
like,
behind a building.
It also feels like it's like this in front of the screen the whole time, like it's parallel.
Yes. Oh,
like, yeah,
it's bad. It's bad. So they fly away. David Banner, says his goodbyes, and then again, it's kind of like a backdoor pilot for Daredevil. So like Matt Murdock and his supporting cast kind of like have a few quips about the Kingpin's building, and then David Banner does his lonely man walk, and then that's the end. And Daredevil was not picked up as a TV show.
No, it was not.
The Hulk did one more movie, and then he was killed, and it was called The Death of the Incredible Hulk. So we're close to the end for that character.
Oh no.
And then a few months later, Batman came out and changed cinema forever.
Right.
So yeah, there was no hope for this show. But Ian,
Yes.
this is your first exposure to Daredevil. Why don't you tell us what you thought?
An interesting character.
Okay, yeah.
An interesting character. A blind superhero.
Yeah,
That's
very cool.
that relies on other senses. Very interesting concept. This film, I don't know. It had some really interesting pieces to it.
Yeah.
But on a whole, I felt that I was a T-Rex and this film was trying to sneak past me. It was just it moved so slowly.
Yes.
It had no pacing whatsoever. It just plodded forward and plodded forward. There were some, like I said, though, there's some really good parts. The jewel heists, like you said, it could have been cut from the film, but it was one of the better scenes, I think.
True.
The whole beginning of the movie
wasn't
I thought
bad.
was great.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah. It set up this, there is some... Some what?
Gravitas?
Sure, that works. But they're setting these cameras up as they're performing this heist, and the Kingpin is issuing commands to them.
Yeah,
and it's just
to talk about. Yeah,
it has the feel of something that is really carefully orchestrated.
Yes,
but it isn't set up. We're just sort of dropped into the middle of it.
Right.
And I like how they just sort of did it. And they had similar sort of thing with the Shiv in the prison as they're sort of passing it back and forth.
That was actually good.
Yeah, the same sort of thing. This choreographed, like a big plan that we're seeing play out, but we're not told about it in advance. We're dropped in the middle of it, and we just get to see it happen. I enjoyed that.
Good point.
So this movie was actually directed by Bill Bixby.
Oh,
how did I not pick up on that? Wow, I didn't know that.
And I think that's why the Incredible Hulk stuff at the beginning works so well.
Okay,
it feels like Bill Bixby knew what he wanted to do with his character that he had been playing for years, and then the studio's like, okay, but also we have this cool Daredevil stuff that need to shove into this movie because we really want to make a Daredevil TV show.
So. Okay, let's talk about Daredevil. Let's talk about Daredevil.
Sure, yeah.
So we know that Daredevil is blind, but he has augmented senses, and he has a radar sense, which the Netflix show kind of.
Yeah, they do.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay, but in this movie,
it looks like fire or something, right?
Yeah. Okay,
like a world on fire.
So here's the thing: when they introduced Matt Murdock, and I said this before we recorded, but if you're going to show that a character has like extra senses, they could have dropped like a piece of construction machinery or like a car or like anything,
or a brick flies through the window and he catches it, right?
But instead a shoebox falls out of the closet and he karate chops it away, and that's how the audience is supposed to know that he has a radar sense, I guess.
See, I didn't pick up on that at all. I just thought that he was clumsy.
Oh no, that was supposed to show his radar sense.
It looked it looked like he was scrambling to, like, he noticed something. And it was
bad. Now the thing is the Netflix, at least season 1, really focused on his hearing, but the actual radar sense is different. And in this movie they show there's a part where he's like going through
Matrix.
Yeah, it's like he's going through like a hallway and he like unscrews a light bulb, and it's almost like the Matrix or like Tron, where you're seeing like digital outlines and surfaces.
I definitely like the echolocation feel better than this.
Yeah. This was
because it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
the heartbeat, the sounds, like you can see silhouettes because of like sound waves and like not that you can like physically see it, but you can
imagine.
like imagine it with your because your sense of sound is so heightened.
Right.
So
there's that.
Yeah.
There's the costume which we talked about, which looked ridiculous.
Well, yeah, it didn't look like anything.
Yeah.
And it was a little confusing at first too, again, not knowing that there was this Daredevil. I also the Daredevil rules graffiti on the subway.
Yeah.
Before this, I now that I know that there's a Daredevil character, I like that. To me, was just what the heck is this? But to someone who knows what it is, I think it's a little over the head, over the top. Right?
No, this whole movie, all the stuff with Daredevil is way too over the top. Hit you in the head with it. I mean, the writers of Han Solo must have gotten the name reveal from this movie.
Yeah.
The cops we need some sort of Daredevil.
Oh, that was garbage. Oh, that was embarrassing. What the fuck? Yes.
A Daredevil.
And then
he
Matt
nods
Murdock,
just like
Matt
that.
Murdock perks up at that moment. And he's thinking, up until now, you didn't have me, but now I'm sold. You got me. Yes. So oh boy, there's just that whole thing, and then like the police being able to call in is hokey because it's like behind this little panel. I don't know. It's like the ghetto version of like the bat phone. You know what I mean?
Right.
Okay, fine,
It's
whatever.
an untraceable cell phone.
Yeah, untraceable. And the thing is, I remember watching this movie
Cellular
as a kid.
phone.
And also rewatching it as like a teen and a tween. And I remember talking to some mutual friends of ours, like Imran Kazim. And I remember in the 90s talking about like, you know the scene where Daredevil, like, he's not even like the city. He's in like the suburbs. And he goes out on like the roof of his house. And he's like, I'm going to go fight crime. And he like jumps from one house to the other. And I'm like, Imran, they're never going to be able to make superheroes look good because this is what they look like. Like you can't. And then of course they kind of prove me wrong over time with later films, but like really when it comes down to it, if you shoot superheroes wrong, that's what they look like a superhero. He puts on his costume in like Forest Glade, and he's gonna run to Detroit. Like, you know how long it takes to run across a freaking city? Like 5 hours. Oh, the sun's up now. I guess I got to go back home.
And the city is big.
And the city, the nameless city, is huge. Okay, so we've talked about Daredevil. We've already know about Bruce Banner / David Banner. Let's talk about the Kingpin. Okay, so in the comics, the Kingpin is he's like the equivalent of the Godfather.
Right? Yeah.
When they did the Netflix TV show a few years ago, they cast the guy who played. Okay, did you ever see Full Metal Jacket?
Yeah. Don't think so.
Oh my God. Okay, they cast this actor who physically looks like him. Didn't quite have the personality that I pictured, but not really. But I really love his backstory.
Great. Oh
the
man,
backstory, everything about him, tip top. Netflix Daredevil is maybe the best Marvel property or the second best. However, in this we get John Rhys-Davies.
Right, John Rhys-Davies. Yeah,
John Rhys-Davies. Sorry.
Yeah.
Not cast
quite
properly
Vincent D'Onofrio
at all. I mean, I don't know his height. Maybe he's bigger. I don't know. He's average height, isn't he?
He played Gimli, so in my head he's always tiny, you know.
No, but his voice is so like not what I pictured for Kingpin at all. First of all, I didn't know this, but he's Welsh. But he just sounds so highly educated and upper class, and to be playing this
tech version of Kingpin.
Yeah, and like, but also, Ian, you talked about like telling, like instructing the bad guys exactly what to do. Mm-hmm. Didn't it feel like everything he was telling them is something they would have already known?
Yes, like now open the door. Like
exactly.
That's
now
what
take out the
next.
Diamonds. Yeah.
Now some of it worked, right?
Yeah.
Open, just take drawers A through F.
Yeah.
And L through M.
That's
and
at
X
least something,
and Z, right?
Right.
So like he knows which ones he doesn't want to tell them in advance for whatever reason. Every time he spoke, though, I was reminded of. This may be the second time I've mentioned UHF on this podcast.
Yeah.
But the the guy that Weird Al's uncle owed money to.
I don't remember. I saw
And
it
he
once
spoke-
30 years ago.
He
I don't-
spoke in this weird low voice
Sure,
on the
sure,
phone
yes.
once in a while.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have 12 hours, Mr. Bilchik.
Yeah.
And it just pulled me out a little bit because it
Yeah.
was ridiculous. But it also, I don't know, it felt comic booky to me in a way.
Well, let's be clear. He is perfect as Sala from Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Amazing.
And he was also perfect as
Gimli.
Gimli
Yeah.
from Lord of the Rings. Like, the comic relief. Like, I love that character.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's many other roles he's played that are good, but in this role, I didn't think he was good at all. Not well cast.
I see. I don't know what to expect.
Okay.
So
Yeah, not as Wilson Fisk, particularly not a tech wizard
No.
version of Wilson Fisk.
Right,
Like that's
right.
but he was wearing sunglasses the entire
yeah.
time.
Yeah,
he
that
did
was-
put his gigantic Oakleys on in slow motion as he looked at a TV screen and told his henchman to pick up some diamonds.
Well, and the thing is I'm trying to figure out who played the Arranger. But because it wasn't actually called the Arranger, but I'm going to assume it was Richard Cummings Jr. because he's like
I
next
didn't
to
know.
the
What's
cast.
his name on that phone there?
Al Pettyman.
No.
Was that his name in the
no.
movie?
It was like Edgar or something.
Edgar? John Novak as Denny. No, I put it
Can't
this
get
way.
through a podcast without looking at
Whoever
our phone.
the actor was that played the Arranger, I actually thought he was really good. Like, I really thought he was a good actor, and
He
I
seemed like an actor.
yeah,
Everybody
a
else.
real actor, and I think his character was fairly nuanced considering what movie he was in. I don't know. What'd you guys think?
Except for the very end when he's just like, I'm the only one he forgives
Yeah.
after double crossing.
That was bad writing, I
Yeah.
think.
And then
Yeah,
2
I
seconds
don't know.
later, he's in the weird hovercraft
Yeah,
with
he
him.
was fine. Yeah, he was good.
I thought he was good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. We talked about Daredevil. We didn't talk about Matt Murdock. Let's talk about Rex Smith. Is that his real name? Wait. Rex Smith? Is that a real name? I don't know. Let me see if that's actually... It sounds like a fake name. No, that's his real
him?
name.
Okay.
He
He was also fine. I thought his acting was pretty good. Like he was fine. He did not look blind the whole movie.
I was going to ask,
Why
is
didn't they
he
just
like a blind
put-
actor?
I don't
No.
think so.
No.
Because you could see him like looking around and like looking at actors and then looking away. It's like
You
just
know-
pop on some shades on him.
They should-
It
okay,
didn't
like, they
I
should
don't
have
know.
given him contact lenses that blocked his sight so he actually couldn't see.
Or on a budget, put some sunglasses
Or
on.
put some
like,
sunglasses.
You know what I mean?
You're
Like,
right. Yeah, that's a good
you
point.
don't need to see his eyes.
You're
at
right,
all.
because he's just kind of like, I'm gonna like talk to you but look
Yeah.
down. That's the only acting he did as a blind
Yeah.
person. Also, the running gags of like the other characters, like, you know,
high five.
oh yeah, high five. Oh, sorry, and then like, oh, yeah. How do you know?
Seen any good movies lately?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, ooh, yeah. It was just like,
I mean, read any books? I mean,
I
Yeah.
mean. I know it's just like over and over again.
You know what though? It did get old, but I kind of maybe I'm giving them too much credit. Like the payoff when David Banner went to shake his hand and he goes, "My hand's out for you to shake it." And he goes, "I know," and he shakes it.
Okay.
So it's kind
there's
of
payoff.
like
Okay.
so you can kind of see that. I guess that he's like faking.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
that's a good point. That's
kind
a
of
good
paying
point.
it, but
Yeah.
it was very in your face,
Yeah.
like jokes about him being
Sure.
blind and not set up that way.
Well,
but-
okay. I just want to cut in and say earlier you mentioned that Bill Bixby actually directed this. Now, Bill Bixby, as far as I know, had never done any directing before this.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But Bill Bixby is awesome. And so even if he's not a great film director, I think he's a smart guy. And I think he's a classy guy. And I think his intelligence and his whatever made whatever was good about this movie good. I'm going to assume he was the good stuff in this movie and that it was the writing that was bad, right? I assume. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, again, I like all the stuff with Bill Bixby and the Hulk.
Yeah.
For the most part, the Hulk. But he feels like a very serious actor in this movie.
Yes.
It doesn't
Agreed.
feel campy. It doesn't
No.
feel like a made-for-TV movie. He's really acting, and I feel like that has to do with him playing this character for so long really loving the character and knowing the story, and you can kind of see that in the movie. I think.
Agree.
So, all the stuff with him I think is great
Champion
for the most part.
Yeah. No, I'll agree with that. It seems as though everything that wasn't about him started to go off the rails a little bit.
Yeah.
Even when he's with Matt Murdock at times, it feels like it's going off the rails. Like when he reveals that he's Daredevil, he's like, he's telling his backstory about how he went blind and this barrel of this radioactive barrel burst in front of him. And David Banner goes, well, I'm a doctor. I could take a look at your eyes. And he's like,
I'm a doctor. I can tell you what he's. Is it ready? No,
you're blind. You're fucking blind. he even goes like, I've seen tons of doctors.
Yeah, exactly.
I can guarantee you don't know anything about radioactivity. He goes, trust me, I'm a radioactivity expert. Yeah, you're blind. You'll never see it again. Yeah, we know. It's so weird. Oh my god. Yeah. Oh my god.
Sorry. So it's almost like David Banner is in a serious show, and when he's talking to Daredevil is in this other like Adam West thing. And when he's like, oh, tell me, how you got your powers or whatever. And then he's like, oh, I think he explains that like, oh, the truck, there's a detail that David Banner.
You got hit by the truck.
Oh, you got hit by the truck. He's like, no. It's almost like Airplane, the movie Airplane.
Right.
It's like he's like, oh, this happened. No, it was this. It was almost like a pun, but it's not a pun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's almost like it almost sounds like David Banner is like Leslie Nielsen.
Right.
And he's giving like what he's saying is insane, but he's delivering it so straight that it comes off as serious, but it's actually crazy. Anyway, so yeah.
I guess we can briefly talk about Lou Ferrigno because
that's right.
He was pretty much the same as he was in and like every other time he's played the Hulk.
Character doesn't have an awful lot of depth,
right?
But he didn't flex this time.
Oh, he flexed.
He did
flex?
a little bit.
Oh yeah, he flexed.
Darn, okay.
But I think that he looked more intimidating in this movie because of the way that he was shot. Every single time you see him, it is from it's a low angle shooting up at him. When he's in the like in the last one, he's standing next to Thor, and Thor looks just as tall as him and just as big as him, and you don't feel like that bestial, like gigantic feeling. And when he's hanging from the helicopter, it's like, this is ridiculous. Right? It's awfully shot. But when he's standing in the subway, when he first transforms, his head, it looks like, and maybe it is because Lou Ferrigno is a big guy, but it looks like he's like touching the top of the inside of the train. Like he's gigantic. He looks like he's towering in that thing. And again, maybe it's just because they shot in a place that is like a tight shooting corridor,
which is smart anyway.
Big guy. Yeah, like it. Yeah. I think that every time they shoot him, he looks gigantic and menacing in this movie.
Yeah. And I definitely thought he looked noticeably more grotesque because when I was a kid, I only thought he was wearing green makeup. I didn't realize they added a forehead and a nose and the teeth. Yeah. But in this movie, I noticed the teeth more. Yeah. So I don't know if they emphasized it more with lighting or shooting, or if it was just different. I don't know. Ian, what did you think?
I noticed that as well. In fact, I was going to bring that up, that he just seemed a lot bigger. Yeah. He seemed a lot scarier. Yeah, in the last one that we saw, I didn't buy it at all.
Yeah, because
this one here though,
I think in the last one too, he felt like a character that they were like, oh, we can use the Hulk to win the day at the end. But in this one, like David Banner is scared of the Hulk.
Yes,
like it's not a person, it's an entity. It's like this. It's this thing that you're actually supposed to be scared of, and I think it helps that he does not show up at the end of the movie to help Matt Murdock and Daredevil.
That's an interesting point.
I kind of
you could argue
don't
that.
hate it.
But here's the thing is that I do appreciate that when the hooligans are harassing the girl and David Banner is there, it's a legitimately interesting moral choice. Do I try to help this girl, or and therefore risk unleashing the Hulk, or do I just leave them alone. But then now she
Right.
gets raped, right?
And at first he does like ignore it.
Right.
And because he's like, I can't get into the middle of these two arguing. But
Right.
then once it gets to that point
Right.
where he's like, I can't hold out any longer. I need to step in and stop this.
And the other thing,
It's good. Yeah.
the other thing we have to point out is one quick final note about the Hulk is he was created as a monster,
Mhm.
but then because it was a Marvel comic, they're like,
Mm.
oh, by the way, we have to fill a slot in our schedule. Okay, what idea do you have? How about we have a team called the Avengers? We'll put all our characters. Okay, sure, let's do that. The Avengers was created like as a last-minute fill-in on a schedule.
Oh.
And so they were like, okay, well, we can't use Spider-Man. We can't use these guys. Let's put Iron Man, Thor, Ant-Man, and Hulk together. Even though the
and
Hulk
the Wasp, I
and the
believe.
Wasp,
Yeah.
who's a partner of the Ant-Man, so they're
Yeah,
kind of
that's
together.
true. Yeah.
But it's like the Hulk, how does he belong in there? So he was created as a monster, and in the TV show, he was a legitimate monster, like a threat. And the one thing I'm not sure about the TV show is I don't know if he ever actually killed anybody, because in the Ultimate Comics, he does actually kill someone, and he is like a nuclear bomb going off every time he turns into the Hulk. But I like the idea that David Banner is scared. He's like, no, I can't unleash the monster, because if I do, someone could die. And I think that if it's not on the TV show, I wish it was, because that's a legitimate fear. Like, oh no.
One guy picks on him at work, and he's like, I quit.
Yeah.
I gotta move to another city.
Yeah. I mean, it's a cool dynamic. It's like you have this power, but you can't use it because you might hurt someone or kill them. It's a great idea. Anyway, Ian, you're gonna have to go back and watch the Hulk pilot. I know you weren't there for that episode.
Yeah, I guess I will.
I weirdly remember the pilot kind of as well, because it's about the reason why he wants to be stronger and use the radioactivity is because he
lost his girlfriend in a car accident.
The car accident,
yes.
right? And then he learns about like the mother that has like this unbelievable strength at the last moment to save her
that she got
baby
from
the
adrenaline.
Right.
Yeah.
She was able to lift up the car. I don't know why. Her voice is stuck in my head. And then I started lifting up the car.
Yo,
I don't know why. It's like burned into my brain.
It's great.
When you said that earlier, it was like, whoa.
Oh, no. This is another side note. Okay, Ian, you're not going to know what the hell we're talking about, but I'll tell you something quick.
Yeah.
That woman's acting was so effective that when Jack Kirby, the co-creator, reiterated the story of how he came up with the Hulk, he told that story.
Oh.
He's like, he's like, I got the idea from hearing about a woman that lifted up a car. And people were like, Jack, first of all, when the Hulk was created in the 60s by you and Stan Lee, he didn't become the Hulk by adrenaline or anger. He became the Hulk by moonlight. Second, you're talking about a scene in the Hulk TV show, but no one had the heart to tell him. Anyway, that's a funny story about Jack Kirby. Poor Jack. Anyway, I don't know. We could talk about this movie all night.
And I think it is a better origin. I really actually like that.
The TV show?
Yeah.
The TV show is a masterpiece.
Yeah. That
the
origin.
The TV show version is better than the comic book version. Let's be clear. All the comic book versions with Hulk in space, with Jarella, with World War Hulk, that's all shit. I'm sorry, guys. It's garbage. I hate it. I'm sorry, Josh. I think I think like
there are some good ones, but I think that when there are some good Hulk stories, I think for the most part, though, they are really awful.
I'm not saying anything bad about Herb Trimpe or Sal Buscema or Stan Lee or Jack Kirby.
Not them as people.
I'm just saying that the actual comics, the concept is fun, but it's ridiculous compared to the TV show version.
Like when the Hulk shows up and he's having breakfast or whatever, and that like random.
You mean when the Hulk's making coffee for
Yeah.
other members of the Defenders? Yeah, it gets crazy, Ian. You wouldn't believe it. Oh no, sorry, he doesn't make the coffee. Patsy Walker makes the coffee. He doesn't like the coffee. It doesn't matter. Okay,
Whatever.
We're off on a tangent. The point is the TV show Hulk.
I haven't
awesome.
understood a word that you guys have said in the last 5 minutes.
So there you go, Ian. Watch the TV pilot of the Hulk. It's awesome. This movie, should people watch this movie?
No,
Ian?
well, no.
I think you should.
It's to put it this way. At one point during the movie, I got not frustrated, but I was. How much longer is this film? It felt like it had gone on for 2 hours. I hit pause just to see where I was. I'd watched 65 minutes of it so far. I felt like I'd been
I
there
thought
for
you were going to say
hours.
6 minutes, but okay.
No, like I was in the home stretch because this
Yeah.
movie's only 90 minutes long,
Yeah.
but it is a ponderous 90 minutes.
It would have been really fun to watch it with you guys, I think. Because the beginning is pretty good.
We could have screened it
In my
at Meteor,
opinion.
but it was
But
vetoed.
no, Mad Max is a good movie.
Yeah.
Because the bad parts, I think we would have been laughing out loud together.
I agree.
Because
It's like The Punisher.
it
Yeah.
wasn't funny enough for me personally to like actually laugh.
Yeah.
I was like, this is ridiculous. And
Yeah.
I was like thinking how funny it was, but I feel like with you guys and seeing like the certain reveals, I would have laughed.
I agree.
Like Kingpin's slow move in his chair, like
Almost like Dr. Evil. Yeah, I know.
And honestly, too, I feel like in one of the shots, I could see his like little legs kicking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what
We
I
don't
mean?
have the budget for an actual chair that can
So
turn.
John, you gotta like kick your legs and move the chair
Yeah.
real slow. Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Uh,
Okay, so watch this movie. Don't watch this movie. It's
Yeah.
not great, but it did introduce the black costume Daredevil. And it's
That's
the
true,
second
I
last
guess.
time we ever saw this version of the Hulk. So
Are we going to be watching the very last time? Is that something I
I
have
don't
to look
know,
forward
Ian.
to?
Should we watch it?
It's not up to me.
Well, we'll talk about that. How about you, viewer? Should we review the death of the Incredible Hulk? You let us know.
Sounds kind of sad.
you know what? You actually have the power to decide that because there's probably one person out there listening, and if you say no,
Yeah.
most likely we won't
You have
do it.
100% of the vote.
Yeah, you have 100%.
Yeah. So
Every vote
So vote.
counts.
yeah, every vote counts. So yeah, this has been a fun episode. We want to thank Champion
Of course,
for,
yeah.
for hosting us at Meteor.
Thank you very much. Also, I'd like to do a meteor shout out to Ratbath
Ooh.
from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, who played here last Sunday. It was a fantastic show. So I know that they watch. No, they don't watch the podcast.
No, no one does. Anyway,
Maybe by giving them a shout out, I can increase our viewership.
yeah, there
Right.
you go. We can tag them. Excellent.
Yeah. And speaking of, check out the Meteor Facebook page to see all of our events, all the cool stuff that's going on
Usually.
here. You can also find all of our stuff on the comicbooksyndicate.com.
Yep.
All of our podcasts are video format now, some sort of video format. So you can see us. You can see the comics we're talking about, like in real time as we're talking about them. You can see the cool set here in Meteor. So check us out. Leave us a review, comment. Let us know what you guys think about the stuff we're talking about, and we'll see you next time.
Until the next time, see you later.